facing a lot of challenges, the challenge of demographic change, the challenge of the future of cohesion policy, and I'm facing the challenge to be the last in line of 5 panelists, and I'll do my very best. We heard already a lot about what is demographic change, and I will start with what is Thuringia in the heart of Germany, one of the Eastern German Länder, but really one of the hearts of Germany. Thuringia has never been densely populated. Maybe in medieval times it was more populated than other regions in Germany, but it was never densely populated. We have some cities. The biggest one has 200,000 inhabitants, but the rest is small cities and rural area. But demographic change was not always a challenge in Thuringia. We will face it, we face it now, and we will face it in future. And maybe we also face some problems similar to Galicia. So not every rural area or remote area has challenges in demographic change, so that is the difference. Maybe not every mountain area even faces these challenges. The problem is when there is a lack of jobs, so young people don't stay there, skilled people have no chance to stay in the remote area, and then you have this vicious circle Mr. Schneider already talked about. That you have the elder people who want to stay at home, of course, who want to live where they always have lived. And it was quite impressive what you, Minister, told about Galicia with these more than 80-year-old women that, of course, want to stay in their home region, in their home village. And we have it in a similar way in Thuringia. And that is what politics are for, and that is what public money and cohesion funds are nothing else than public money is for, not to equalize every living in cities and villages, but to help to minimize the differences and to help to support the people that they can live in their hometowns, in their villages when they get older and so on. So when we have two parts we have to tackle now. We won't stop the demographic change. I think that's not the possibility that we have to stop it completely, and we won't have the chance to completely change social changes we have in society. But we should buffer a bit. We should buffer a bit when in these very small villages there are only the elder people left, and that will be in future even more, then we should buffer it by investing in kind of, we will have in Thuringia, for example, a project on telemedicine, I don't know how to say it. So we have a central hospital at the university, but there will be telemedical possibilities for the few doctors that are in the countryside. We finance now as I'm State Secretary also for Cultural Affairs, I bring to you that example, a cultural cooperation concepts, so that every small city and village hasn't enough power to offer their people a small, low level of cultural, attractive cultural events and so on, libraries, for example, or the small museums and so on. But together, to bring them together and to support them with one or two or three, financing one or two or three people, they can work together and everyone has a minimum of cultural events to offer. Every village for itself wouldn't have the possibility. We finance that from the regional government. Because we see that when we don't have an attractive also cultural region, and Thuringia has a lot of culture, then also the companies have problems to get skilled people. And to give another example, to make it very precise, some weeks ago in an also cultural event in the Thuringian forest. It was a very small village. some hundred people, but a entrepreneur, the owner of a medium-sized company, supported a cultural event. And I talked to him, and he said, well, I need these events, and I have problems to get skilled people. My company works very well. It's a company 15 years old, working on nanotechnology on surfaces of glass. We have a lot of glass industry in Thuringia. But he says to get young people and skilled people in this small town here, it's difficult because of the lack of a level of cultural events, a lack of public transport, and a lack of not infrastructure means roads and so on. We invested a lot in the last years in Eastern Länder, German Länder in infrastructure. But he says in a region without Wi-Fi, in a region with a very low internet access, it's difficult for to get skilled people, because that's nowadays it's a must-have in a region. And it's difficult not for my manufacturing, but for my managing my or operating my company. And so I want to stay here, but it's a problem for me. And then if such a company changes its place more closer to the city, then the jobs will also go there, and the few families that are still there, and the young people or the medium-aged people also will leave the city. So we have to do, and we need for that, I think, as one tool, but an important tool, the cohesion policy. And it's not only, I very much support the minister from Galicia, it's not only the GDP as the only indicator, it's also, well, kind of demographic change, as well as maybe some other indicators from sustainable development. We have that sustainable development goal, so that could be also a level or indicators for a future cohesion policy. Yes, so we should try to buffer demographic change, and where we cannot buffer or where we cannot stop, we have to adapt, and so we have to help the people, the elder people, that they can stay in their villages and so on. And we have the possibilities already in the Fonds of ELA, and the regions, and even in the smallest parts of the region. We have the LEADER program. I'm quite fond of the LEADER principle. I think that should work also in future. And as already said, yes, the regions know where the problems are and maybe how to tackle. But nevertheless, I really strongly, I'm missing the English word, but I expect also from the Commission, from the European level, to set up a kind of strategy. We have strategies on a lot of things, on resource efficiency, on climate change, and. So we also, as it is a problem that a lot of regions in Europe have to face or are facing now already, and regions from Finland to Spain, from France to Poland, so it's not very specific to only a few member states. Within the member states we have these regions. There should also, European Union, the Commission should set up a strategy for tackling these challenges, and help the regions also to connect to each other and to learn from each other, and what could be a strategy. And then, of course, we need in some parts future cohesion funds, not only due to GDP, but also to this big challenge of demographic change. Yes, thank you.